Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to this inaugural webinar of JMT, Unscripted Voices from Around the World. The webinar will focus, this is the first one, but each webinar will focus on a specific region and bring together the editorial board members to discuss pressing issues in mathematics education research and mathematics education practice. Today, the first webinar focuses on voices from East Asia. We have three colleagues from that region who will present. And in the interest of time, I will now invite our colleague from the University of Macau to start her presentation. We will take the presentations all in a row. And towards the end, we will have around 15 minutes to ask questions. If you have questions, you can write them in the chat, and I will read out the questions and pose them towards the end of the session. So, colleague from the University of Macau, please introduce yourself and start.
Oh,
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your slide.
okay. I talk about some math education, the teacher education in Macau. Macau is a very small place, but sometimes it's impacted by mainland China. So maybe I also related mainland China teaching education. In Macau, it's a very small place. I think I answered the first question, what the most critical issue challenge currently facing math teacher education in Macau. I think my answer is quite simple. The weak teaching learning culture. Macau is a very small place, but it's very special because it's a colonial for the political for more than 4,000 years. So and it will be West the traditional, but the other most school are private school. So but our university is the only one for the teaching education, teaching training. It's written from the 1999. Now some system little bit like mainland China, we have a small exam, but in the past have no exam for the whole area. Now there are several universities here want to have an exam system because we want to students have some selected students. But we have a very good PISA performance quickly from the 14 in the, I think in the 2008. Now we are the in second PISA performance. PISA 2022 Macau is the second one, near the Singapore. But our university do the teacher training. I in charge the primary teacher, math teacher for the whole Macau in this 20 years. So like a villager, very small but very challenging because students very freedom. In the school, there are like collaboration. Every teacher work by do own thing. There are few collaboration. There are no national curriculum. Also, there are very heavy the teaching load, more than 20 class for 1 week. And I think when 20 years ago, I came Macau from mainland, from Hong Kong. I got the PhD degree from Hong Kong. I have worked in mainland China for 10 years. So I found very special, very different from mainland China. And the teacher very freedom, have no relationship between in the school. But it's not very good because the teacher, the experienced teacher cannot share their professional with the colleague. So I noticed there are missing paradigm. I think it's a very important, the very central thing for the pre-service teacher education. I think it's the same case of in the many university. We have many curriculum for the math subject, curriculum matter, and the education, the course. There are some theory, but we have only practice. We send the students to the school. We get some visit only twice. It's called practice. There are no relations. There are no link between the theory and the practice. I think it's a missing paradigm. I do it make one students learn something in the pedagogy course. I want students use it. I think the paradigm is very important, but there are field research, field practice in Macau, but very common in mainland China. We do it compare in the real classroom, how to link the theory and the practice. So my research, my practice very focused building a pre-service the teaching learning community. Also, the second question, just what teaching education program or model are common use in Macau? I think we do have two things. One is the pre-service teaching learning community. We want to develop step by step. Another is a in-service teaching learning community. because Macau is very small, so our university training teacher. So I use the open class. Taxi use the open lesson, the term, but almost same. I think open class is very simple. It's different from the Japanese lesson study. Lesson study is a complex, multiple the circle from the plan, teaching, observe, or discussion. But very common in mainland China. I try to use the in for our students. I think it's I do it in this 20 years. Just like the pre-service teacher gave open class, observed by his classmates, and the experienced teacher. I think it's a very simple the lesson study, but very useful for our students. Sometimes I think it's useful for the teaching the professional. Also, I developed a new model, different method to teach the same content. We add a experienced teacher teaching the course, and our student also teaching the course. We make a compare the difference. And this year for students, but we can make the 3 years students visit the class, observe and discuss. I write a paper here. It's an open class approach used in Macau. Very Also, I think we also divide the in-service learning community. In Macau, we have two projects. One is award scheme about on the interaction the research in Macau. Macau have some money support this kind of the teaching research. Also, another one is outstanding mainland teacher exchange program in Macau. This is in service teaching community. I think it's more than 20 years, more than almost the 30 years. We collect some teaching plan, the teaching research, and the teaching project, teaching the tool, some open class, make a comparison. We do the assessment and make a learning theory. Also, we have a in-service teaching learning community. This kind of the resource can there a platform exchange, share the experience, share the teaching plan, share the lesson. And I think it's very useful for the teacher. Sometimes a teacher get the degree, get some rank, get some the award. Also, mainland China, I think we have a very good teacher exchange here and give many the open lesson, like a little like the lesson study, but a very simple the version. I think is the main role is the open class. there are some prepare lesson together, observe the class and comment and leading some the teaching research, the list program. I think also the research in the math teacher research education. In Macau, we just follow the mainland China. We have some teacher research practice the paper. We have this kind of journal. It's different from a theory journal, but the teacher very focused the math knowledge and the math thinking. Math thinking very important in our curriculum. We explicitly emphasize as one of the 4 curriculum standard. In this year, these 10 years, we very focus the math thinking, how to develop in the lesson.
Thank
I
you,
think
Suha. Your time is coming up, please.
okay, that's all. I think the research, we are very focused on research. I think about the theory freedom. There are teaching with variation, very useful for in this community. Also, outside the UK, the exchange program also very focused teaching with variation. So that's all. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Colleagues, if you have questions, please save them towards the end of the session. Shua, thank you. I
Stop.
will now.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I will now invite my colleague Yoshinori from University of Tsukuba, Japan. Yoshi, over to you. You are mute. Yoshi, you are on mute.
Oh,
Okay. My name is Yoshinori Shimizu from University of Tsukuba, Japan, and it is very nice opportunity for me to reflect on what is going on in teacher education in practice and research. So today I prepared only 6 slides, just like a memo. So I would like to share some critical issues and research questions and some current status of Japanese mathematics teacher education. First, before getting into the content, I just wanted to introduce the OECD TALIS, which is every 5 years OECD is conducting, and this was a TALIS 2013, about 10 years ago. I will be skipping some statistics here, like 68% are women in all the world, teachers, and so on, but regular image of teachers 43 years old on average and so on. But from Japanese perspective, one of the most shocking result was this. Across the countries and the economics participating in this project, average time spent in a school per week were very surprising. In average, 38 hours around the world, teachers in school, and Chile and Italy teachers are enjoying their life, only 29 hours, but the Japanese teachers spend 54 hours in school. It is quite a lot. And of course, teachers are teacher who are supposed to teach mathematics, but the Japanese teacher do everything, taking care of student lunch, and cleaning up the school, and communicating with the parents, and so on. They have also play a soccer with the student, so on. So this was a very shocking result, and our government decided some new educational policy called work style reform in school, which is very much influential to mathematics teacher education also. And digital transformation of teachers' work is another issue. So I wanted to have a 1 hour, 2 hours to spend this issue, but today is very limited. I'll be skipping. But the general context of educational policy is key for us to think of. And Japan, as one of the East Asian countries like Korea, China, centralized system of education decide beyond mathematics. So working environment and the teacher education itself is depending on the policy. So we need to look at this level of macro and the meso levels issues. But I will be sticking today in a micro mathematics education related issue. So, and we have 4 questions, 2 for practice and 2 for research. And the critical issues and the problem in the current practice could be implementation of revised national curriculum guideline, which was released in 2017 and implemented from 2020. Just timingly cope with COVID-19. So teachers are struggling with having a new national curriculum guideline, but teaching practice are very limited with, of course, masking and with some slide between students, and even school has been just cut off right after COVID-19. So anyhow, these issues are still continuing for the teachers and the group of teachers in school. And now, recently, we have a diversity of students in the classroom. Of course, such a tiny island, Japan, student diversity might be small, you think, but we have some foreign students and some students with some behavioral issues, disabled, or some gifted student, hidden talented student, and so on and so on. So Japanese government is now doing some reform. Every about 10 years, our national curriculum will be revised, and now we have already started to the new national curriculum guideline revision, which will be March 2027. 2 years later, new national curriculum guideline will be arriving with coping with the diversity of students. And to me, third one is a big issue, communicating wisdom and the culture of teachers to the younger generation, because the population pyramid of teachers are just unbalanced, and a big population of older teacher will be disappears within 4 or 5 years, and now new teacher will be big numbers. So practical wisdoms and the culture of teachers should be communicated, but it might be difficult. And I have just quickly summarized some point of interest. Only 3 weeks of practicum, instructional practice at the pre-service teachers at the university, affiliated school, and so on. Only 3 weeks. For the people in the United States or some Europe countries, half a year for practicum is quite popular, but not the case. And a new teacher have a mentor teacher at any time, and a renewal of teacher certificate, which was introduced previously by the Ministry of Education, but just quit because there were some big issues. Just like driver license, every single teacher have to renew the certificate of key concept, but it was just terminated. And the in-service teacher training program, we have a lot type of international in-service teacher training programs. And I just wanted to emphasize lesson study as a key element in all aspects of teacher education. So just quickly summarize. This is from Catherine Lewis and Ineko Tsuchida article. Lesson studies held for several purposes. Education pre-service teachers, and mentoring beginning teachers, and maintaining collaborative among teachers. So these are kinds of in-service teacher training programs go moving with the lesson study activities, in particular public school, junior high, and elementary school, and testing, demonstrating new approaches. But one critical element is missing from my perspective. That is promoting curriculum reform. So when the new national curriculum guideline will be released, teachers around the country to study the new national curriculum guideline to implement in the classroom, and every textbook should be revised and classroom practice should be implemented in line with the new one. And one of the in-service teachers' activities, which is eventually to facilitate their capabilities and their competencies as a teacher, will be coping with the curriculum reform. I guess the same is a stand for same is the case in China and Korea, I guess. But anyhow, these lesson studies key role would be we will be focused on that. And then very quickly, I listed some of items. This is not a research question, but some items now Japanese mathematics educators are focusing on. One of the ideas is a teacher noticing as an international study that's ongoing so much since 2010 or 2015. The teachers noticing is I think this is a long-standing issue in Japanese tradition, but without any theoretical research-based idea. But the teacher noticing is one of the such issue, I guess. And the cross-curricular activities and the STEAM education will be one of the advocacy of the Ministry of Education, and the teachers are doing some. And another issue is a perceived curriculum, which is a concept of OECD ecosystems approach of curriculum, and in particular, mathematical ways of thinking, which is discipline-based epistemology. This is a key issue for the teachers when they were doing some lesson study or they are teaching. And ICT environment is another issue, and now every single student in the classroom has at least one tablet or notebook, personal computer. So this is a big deal in the school education system. And the lesson study as a treasure island, I just quoted, but from our perspective, lesson studies is something that just exists in educational environment, a teacher's life. So, but from research perspective, there are so many things to dig out or to examine aspects of lesson study. And finally, the epistemological approaches and the theoretical frameworks, I just listed some of them. There was a IACOM 9 East Asian Conference, research conference in Sefun in Korea last July, and I just look at the proceedings from there, and also JSME. We have an annual research conference in autumn, and I just quickly look at the papers in that. And the symbolic interactionism is a long time epistemological base for some of the research. And recently, based on the Anasford's cognition, some researchers are doing some conversation, discourse analysis in the classroom to talk about teachers' identity or teachers' some instructional activity and so on and so on. And the ATD, Anthropological Theory of Didactic, this is from France, and this is also a strong influence. I guess it's Takeshi had a big impact on the Japanese community, and also many researchers are working together with teachers, design research style or action research style paper published in many. So Japanese researchers are focusing on instructional materials from a mathematical perspective with student thinking and the difficulties and the misconceptions and so on. and working with a teacher to have evidence in the classroom. So it's tended to be a case studies. So I think we need some systematic design research study, which is not only qualitative but also quantitative, checking hypothesis in some way. This is just a missing part, I suspect. And then discourse analysis is very popular.
Your time is coming up,
I'm
Yoshi.
just finished here. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your precise presentation. And I will now invite the third speaker for the webinar, and that's Sujin Lee from the Korea National University of Education.
Thank you. Oh, give me a second. Let me.
You want to share your slides?
Yes. Please give me a second. I'm trying to share my screen.
In the meantime, participants, if you have questions, please put them in the chat so that I may line them up.
Okay. Oops. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Yes, great. So I'm going to start my presentation. Hello, everyone. My name is Sujin Lee, and I'm a professor of math education at Korea National University of Education, which is in South Korea. So for the first part of question, I think one of the most pressing issues today in my country is oversupply of pre-service teachers and competitions for the teacher employment test. In South Korea, many universities grant the level 2 math teaching certificate, which is required for taking the teacher employment test to becoming a public school teacher, and in some cases, a private school teacher as well. So every year, a large number of graduates complete teacher education programs, but the number of available positions continues to shrink. This decline is largely due to the falling school-age population, and with fewer students, schools are closing or merging even in Seoul, which directly reduces teaching opportunities. So as a result, the teacher employment test has become even more competitive. The second issue is a mismatch between the teacher education curriculum and actual teaching practice. So teacher education programs often emphasize preparing students for the teacher employment test rather than developing practical classroom skills. So to address this issue, our Ministry of Education has attempted several reforms. For example, at one point, they considered extending the teacher education program from 4 years to 6, which failed because nobody wants to pay tuition fee for 6 years to become a teacher in my country. So more recently, the Ministry of our Education introduced a new teaching practicum requirement. So instead of just 1 month of student teaching in 2 consecutive semesters, pre-service teachers are now expected to complete a full semester of teaching practicum. While this initiative has been funded in several colleges of education in my country to implement, it has not yet been fully implemented, and concerns remains about its feasibility. The third challenge concerns professional development and working conditions for in-service teachers. So even after entering the professions, teachers face structural barriers that lead to dissatisfaction and burnout. For instance, teachers are often overloaded with administrative work and after-school program management, leaving little time for lesson planning or professional growth. In addition, although collaborative professional culture is widely valued in our country, in reality, teachers face challenges such as time constraints and limited opportunities for meaningful discussion. So this prevents them from effectively sharing best practices or engaging in sustained collective learning. Finally, teachers are under great increasing technological pressure these days in my country. Both pre-service and in-service teachers are now required to take AI-related courses or earn professional development credits related to AI or technology. And there is a strong push from our government to integrate digital teaching tools in their teaching in the classrooms. So some of you may know that Korea was the first country to introduce AI-based digital textbook, which have since been downgraded to AI-based digital teaching material for political reason. Still, many teachers feel pressure to use AI tools to provide personalized instruction for diverse student needs, as our revised math curriculum emphasized. And at the same time, math educators who prepare future teachers like me feel unprepared themselves as training and support remain insufficient. What makes this even more challenging is that every elementary and secondary student in our country has been provided with a personal tablet PC thanks to our massive government investment on that. However, while our government spent trillions of money equipping like public or private schools with these technology, little to no support has been provided to universities that train these teachers. So as a result, the gap between policy expectation and actual teacher preparation continues to widen. Let me move on to my next slide. So since teacher education programs are closely tied to the pathways of becoming a teacher in our country, I will focus on explaining how one can become an elementary or secondary math teacher in Korea. It is important to note that Korea does not have specialized elementary math teachers. Instead, elementary teachers are generalists who teach all subjects, while secondary teachers focus on a specific subject area. So let me introduce the pathway to becoming an elementary school teacher. So only graduates from these 11 national universities of education and Ewha Women's University are eligible for issuing the Level 2 elementary teaching certificate. So as a result, the competition for elementary teaching positions is generally lower than for secondary math positions. Now let's move on to the pathway for becoming a secondary math teacher in my country. The most common pathway to becoming a secondary math teacher in my country is through a 4-year College of Education program. These programs are offered at about 42 universities nationwide, each housing a department of math education. Among them, the Korea National University of Education, which is the place that I work in, is unique as we prepare both elementary and secondary teachers. In addition to this standard route, there are alternative pathways to becoming a math teacher in my country. At many universities, students from non-education majors can qualify for certification by completing the required education courses. So for those who decide to pursue teaching later, earning a master's degree in education at a graduate school of education is also a popular option. So regardless of the route that they take, most candidates ultimately aim to pass the teacher employment test, which is required to secure a teaching position in public schools. So the existence of these multiple pathways has in turn intensified the competition, especially in math. So let me explain the difference between the elementary teacher exam and the secondary teacher exam in my country. So the left side, as I told you, the elementary teacher in Korea is, we don't have like math elementary teacher. The focus is to prepare them as a generalist. So elementary school teachers were responsible for teaching all subjects to a single classroom of students. So because of this, the exam covers a broad range of subjects, including Korean language, math, science, social studies, and English, and so forth, tested specifically at the elementary school level. So candidates must therefore demonstrate competence across the entire elementary curriculum. Whereas on the right side, we have the secondary teacher exam. Whereas the secondary teacher exam, we prepare specialists. Secondary school teachers focus on a single subject such as math, physics, or history, and they teach that subject across multiple classes. So the exam therefore requires in-depth knowledge of one subject, typically at an advanced undergraduate level, along with strong subject-specific pedagogy. So let me briefly show you the math exam scope in the teacher employment test of our country. So you can just look at the first bullet. Last year's exam, we cover, to become a secondary math teachers in our country, they learn like sometimes more math than those who graduate from, but have bachelor's in math in their undergraduate because they have to learn differential geometry or complex analysis. I mean, all these advanced math courses to become a secondary math teachers. So, and the exam consists of these 2 stages, but I'm going to skip this for the time-wise. So the second part, research in math teacher education in my country. So based on my review of brief review of the titles, abstracts, and keywords, and some portion of theoretical framework of 128 papers on math teacher education published in prominent Korean math education journals over the past 5 years, I identified 4 categories of research on math teacher education. The first category identified is teacher professional development and competency. This research area focuses on how math teachers develop their professional skills and what kinds of knowledge and abilities are considered essential for effective teaching. So in the papers I reviewed, teacher professionalism was consistently highlighted as the crucial factors that shape instructional quality and student learning. In this category, many studies published in Korean math education journals have drawn upon well-established theoretical frameworks. For example, several papers examine teacher noticing, like I think, was it Japan? Like the Yoshi also mentioned about teacher noticing in their country, using frameworks such as those from Mason or Sherin and Venice or Jacob and colleague. Other studies investigated teacher knowledge, applying models from like Lee Schulman's PCK or Deborah Boll and her colleagues' mathematical knowledge for teaching. And there were some from Chevala's, using Chevala's theory of didactic transposition. In addition, more recently, a number of papers adopted ecological perspective, which I'm not very familiar with, ecological perspective of teacher learning and investigated like teacher agency or professionalism, and some of them adopted David Shawn's reflective practitioner model. So yeah, that's the first category. And the second category identified is curriculum and task design. This category investigates how curriculum materials and mathematical tasks are developed, modified, and used by Korean teachers to support student learning. Research in this area highlights the central role of mathematical tasks in shaping instruction and promoting student engagement. And in the paper I reviewed, many studies published in Korean math education journals made use of well-established theoretical framework. For example, several papers focus on mathematical tasks and cognitive demand, drawing on Mary Kay Stein and Peck Smith's framework for cognitive demand, or Peter Sullivan and his colleagues' work on tasks for effective teaching. Other studies examine mathematical modeling tasks, applying Freudenthal Institute's like realistic math education model, or Chevala's anthropological theory of didactics. There were also papers that engage with curriculum theory using frameworks from Alan Schoenfeld's Teaching for Robust Understanding or Brusso's theory of didactic situations in math. And more recently, some of our Korean math educator researchers adopt Amador and colleagues' concept of curricular noticing. And I'm going to skip the others for the time-wise. The third category identified is technology in math education. This category examines how different forms of technology, including artificial intelligence, are integrated into math teaching and learning to enhance pedagogy and improve student outcomes in my country. In this area, many studies published in Korean math education journals have drawn on established theoretical perspective, more primary from computer science educators. So for example, a number of papers reference TPAC, the Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge Framework by Mishra and Keller. And more recently, the extended concept of AI TPAC have been adopted as a theoretical framework to understand the technology in math teacher education in my country. Other studies employ the technology acceptance model, originally developed by Davis as well as Fishbein, to analyze teachers' and students' willingness to adopt educational technology. And of course, several papers are still made use of instrumental genesis model, exploring how digital tools become instruments for mathematical thinking. And I'm going to skip the others and move on to the last category. The fourth category identified is student learning and engagement. This category focuses on how teachers understand and enhance students' mathematical thinking, how they engage students in learning and support development of students' mathematical competency. In the studies I reviewed, many papers published in Korean math education journals drew upon a variety of theoretical perspectives as listed here. And interestingly, some of our Korean papers as well employed Anna Spot's cognition framework to analyze students' mathematical discourse and ways of thinking. And other studies applied mindset theory developed by Carol Drake, I believe, and her colleague, to examine how students' beliefs about intelligence and learning shape their engagement with math. And there were research on epistemological beliefs built on the work of some European colleagues investigating how students' views of knowledge influence their learning processes. And more recently, there were studies adopting Natalie Sinclair's mathematical aesthetic model theories. And there were also studies adopting George Humphreys or Julie Sarama or Doug Clements' learning trajectory model, and so forth. So these are some of the key research themes or theoretical frameworks that our countries have been adopting recently for the last 5 years. And thank you.
Thank you very much for keeping good time, colleagues. And now that brings us to the last component of the webinar, where we take questions. So I have received a question in the chat from Lawrence. I will read out that question, and then I will request the panel to respond to that question. This question has many components. Lawrence, thank you for raising them. The key issue is how much emphasis in math education is being placed on teaching to students of diverse cultural backgrounds, what might be called a culturally responsive teaching. So the first question is about culturally responsive teaching and how much emphasis is being placed. And the subsection of that question is this an issue recognized by only a few scholars in your region or many? And if it is emphasized, if culturally responsive teaching is emphasized, what frameworks or approaches are being used? So I have read out the question, and I'd like to see who would like to take the question first from the panel. Who would like to respond to this question about culturally responsive teaching in your country?
May I just quick comment on that?
Yes,
thank you for the question. And I just mentioned to that one of the critical issues is coping with diversity, which means different. We could say different types of diversity, but one of the issues is we have a foreign student who are not good at speaking Japanese, but of course classroom is talking Japanese. So some helping language assistant will be in some classroom right now. And this is something beyond the special cases. It's now universal issue among schools. So this new national curriculum guideline should be cope with these issues. The Ministry of Education saying, and we have roughly 35 students in a classroom, and 1 or 2 or even 4 or 5 students not fluent in Japanese. So in a differentiation should be introduced in the next system. And just like a first floor, second floor. First floor is a same thing among the students, but in the second floor, some optional course could be much more responsible for cultural, social background difference. And this is just starting to discuss and will be introduced new national curriculum guideline.
Thank you. Would anybody else from the panel like to address this question? Yes. Suji?
Hi. In my country as well, like in Japan, like Korea, I don't think is any more homogeneous country. We are very heterogeneous, and diversity is important. Government is emphasizing equity more than ever. But unfortunately, only a few math education researchers are doing research on this culturally responsive teaching yet. And two-person I can think of is one from Seoul. One is Professor Oh Nam-gon at Seoul National University. I think she did some work on critical math education. I believe that critical math education, a part of it is about multiculturalism, or I'm not familiar with the theory. And there's also Professor Ju Mi-kyung at Hanyang University in Seoul. She actually did a lot of work on ethnomathematics. Ethnomathematics, I don't know if that will be a part of culturally responsive teaching, but those two, unfortunately, yet are Korean math educators. So those two persons are the ones that I can think of related to the culturally responsive teaching wise. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So while colleagues may pose more questions in the chat, or if the panel members have questions, they may also raise their hand and we can take those questions. I also had a question, and if I can raise it now. I was very much interested, Zhu Hua from Macau, when you noted that you have a weak learning culture. You notice that you have a weak learning culture, but your country is doing very well on PISA in mathematics. So why did you state that your country has a weak learning culture? I would love to understand that. You are on mute.
Yeah. I mean, Macau have a very weak the learning the culture because he influenced by the political the style, the tradition. There are no exam, no sharing, and no open class, no professional activity in Macau in the past. Before he returned to mainland China. It's a very freedom. Have no exam. If we did the classroom, you find also the student, the teacher did a very bad job when I visited here 20 years ago. But now we have a step by step to divide something open class, share some professional activity. But I mean, it's prove a lot. But it's very interesting because he is totally West style for me because I visit Italy in the classroom for many time. But because compare Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, and mainland China, it's a totally different teaching culture.
Okay. Thank you very much for that explanation. That's very helpful. So I don't see any other question in the chat, but I have a question, Yoshi, if I may come to you.
Yes.
Yes. So, the teaching practicum is an issue. Wherever we go, what should be the duration of the teaching practicum? And did you mention that you have only 3 weeks of teaching practicum?
Yes.
Yes. So how do the teachers get prepared for the reality of the classroom with 3 weeks of teaching practicum? What other strategies are used is something that I would be interested in.
Yeah, some university affiliated school have a two time span, 3 weeks at the senior and a 4 weeks at the for public school. But they in basic minimum weeks could be 3 weeks, but still we have a program for before practicum, student visit school to observe student, and after practicum, so there's a follow-up at the university. But the point is, pre-service teachers cannot do everything before for the preparation into the classroom. So after getting a job at the school, this is a start of real training. I guess this is a concept behind the thing. And when they have become a teacher in a school, the colleague will be supporting and some mentor will be assigned, and they will go to the seminar and the workshop or observing classroom for first year and the second year. And they have a first year, second year, fifth year, and 10th year training in-service training program. This is a mandated. So entire system could be the target of discussion. And the practicum could be some symbol for this entire system.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful to understand. So I have a question from Paul. Thank you, Paul, for raising the question. It's for Dr. Soo-Jin Lee. And Paul says that you mentioned that two of the challenges for math teachers in South Korea are that the position is highly competitive for secondary school. So one challenge is that the position is highly competitive for secondary school and that teachers have a high workload. And he goes on to say that it seems that if schools can employ more teachers, both of these challenges could be alleviated. What are some of the challenges that are preventing schools from employing more teachers? Soo-Jin Lee.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So to resolve that issue, as you said, our government attempted to it may be just my thinking, but I think everything is related to policy. But so some political party try to have one class, two teachers system, but we failed because every Korean teachers are civil employed, like government. So we have to their income is based on our taxes. So they're all government employed. All teachers in Korea are government employed. So more teachers means that we will have to pay our tax, it will be about our tax related issues. So our country cannot just increase the number of teachers because we have other places to spend our taxes. So I think that is the reason why we cannot employ more teachers to resolve the teacher workload and at the same time resolve the intensified teacher employment test. Thank you for the question. I hope that answered.
Thank you. The next question comes from Takashi, and anybody from the panel can take it. The question is regarding the research on mathematics teacher education. He found strong influence of Occidental research. Are there any traditional studies specific in your country, and what kind of studies are they? Who would like to take that question?
Could you elaborate me, could you explain me what Occidental means? Sorry, my English issue here.
Me too.
Takashi, could you, since you are online, Could you explain what you mean by Occidental research?
Yeah, I mean, so I found many theoretical framework from US or European countries, but not much from Asian countries.
Right, right. Oh, yeah, yeah. Greatly appreciated. Well, yeah, that's a very good question. And oh, can I go first? Like,
Yes,
so
please. Yes.
in my country, I only look at so I only look at like papers published in the last 5 years in my country, and I was actually thinking about like there were a few papers try to develop a theoretical framework really based on our country, not relying on foreign countries' theories, but there were only a few, so I didn't get I was thinking about whether I have to include it here on slides or not, but I decided not to because it wasn't like probably I should have. But yeah, as you said, there are some growing numbers of Korean math education researchers trying to develop theoretical framework by not relying on like foreign studies, but still, yeah, more work is needed. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much. We do have another question from Lawrence, but Lawrence, I do apologize. The question is there in the chat. Colleagues can read it and maybe respond to you online because we are coming towards the end. We have come towards the end of this webinar today. Thank you very much, colleagues, for your active participation in the webinar. Thank you, participants, for your questions. And with that, the webinar comes to a close. Have a good day.
Thank you for the moderating. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, the normal Sojin have already gone. And I think I will ask you later about the next step, because we are thinking that these panelists write a short paper together which summarize this meeting, this webinar. Okay. So thank you very much for your participation. See
Thank
you.
you. See you.